Hello my friends, what you are about to listen to is a remastered version of a previous video that I made discussing how the concept of fun can actually be more limiting to game design than it is useful. The reason for the change is that after discussing the concept with people on Reddit and receiving new insights, one of the premises of my original argument had to change, and thus the entire conclusion of the work also changed. While it is nearly identical to the previous video, the subtle changes to that original premise and the changes in the conclusion created an entirely unique concept, one which I believe is worth exploring. There is a concept that was first introduced to me by the YouTube channel WebDM, which they called the Tyranny of Fun. They focused mostly on how the rules of a tabletop game are freely removed for the sake of the party having fun. Parties and game masters are too troubled by the rules of the game sometimes, and to certain extreme case, people do not want to keep any of the rules intact if it reduces their sense of fun. WebDM highlighted that the benefit of the rules allows for more interesting options for creating different kinds of campaigns and different styles of play. I feel, however, that something was overlooked. For the first time, I want to combine my love of Dungeons & Dragons with what I do best. Talk about the philosophy of games. Now that might mislead you because I'm not going to be talking about some argument for a philosophy inherent in Dungeons & Dragons. I do not really think that it is possible with a game as open as Dungeons & Dragons. We will be talking about the disambiguated philosophy of games instead. Here is the big question that has become more difficult to keep straight since the dawn of the video game. What is a game? It is a surprisingly hard question. How exactly can we define it? What is necessary to call something a game? It might be simpler to start with what we do with games. We play them. So, what is play? Playing is one of the first things we learn how to do as children and is seen in baby animals of many species. Playing is how children learn how to interact with the world. It is entirely free form, no boundaries. Think about how 2-year-old children always knock things off of tables. It is almost like they have fun doing so, until something shatters or a parent yells. Then, pure sorrow, lots of tears, and lots of fear. The child is learning about gravity, as well as social reactions. There is something to be said for how our natural process for learning is fun for us when we are young. We even use play to learn social skills and teamwork. Children are naturally good at improvising different things to do with whatever is at hand. In this way, play sounds very similar to Dungeons & Dragons as a whole. Social skills, teamwork, improvised storytelling, and comedy, these are all things that make the cooperative role-playing in Dungeons & Dragons great. As children grow up, they learn how to do something else with their play. They learn how to tell other children how to play and what to do. They mimic how adults give them instructions while interacting with their peers, and thus learn how to make rules. By making rules, these boundaries to play, we try to get at a certain kind of fun, maybe a kind we have experienced before, but as we often see with children, once rule giving comes into play and people do not agree with the rules, the play stops. Children fight. The fun is over. Play is not very fun when you put limits on the freeform exploration of possibilities. This is where the tyranny of fun begins. We have the most raw fun when we are unbound. Rules that hold us back take away that unlimited enjoyment of just doing whatever and feeling pleasure from it. Yet we can still get children to learn and enjoy sports like kickball and soccer. Children enjoy these activities just as much, and often more than unstructured play. These activities start at giving rules. They start at the thing that makes play no longer fun. How is this possible? Because these things have a kind of enjoyment and engagement that play entirely lacks. An objective. Now we have something to work with. A game is inherently different than simply playing. Play is unbounded, imaginative, and focused on the subjective feeling of fun. But games are different. Games have rules and boundaries. All those rules are presented clearly and completely from the start, and they have an objective which can be completed. Whether it be winning a fight, solving a puzzle, or just getting the most points to beat the other team, all games have these basic parts in some way. What then is it that the objective and the rules add to the subjective experience? Play innately has an experience of fun. You just do whatever and enjoy as it goes. Rules do not let you do whatever. Rules are obstacles to be overcome. Rules are the climb, and the objective is the shining mountaintop. Rules and objectives make logical order and thus opportunity to achieve something. With that achievement comes satisfaction. Whereas play helps you learn, games confirm that you have indeed learned. Play has no objectives, thus it cannot end in a satisfactory way. Games do. They can end. Thus, they can build anticipation and result in either glorious revelry or crushing failure. In a game, you can still have a little bit of play, some generic fun along the way, but the feeling at the end is incomparable. Games naturally sacrifice fun for the sake of something else, for satisfaction of engagement. And here we return to the tyranny of fun. The loss of narrative interest can be summed up by the loss of conflict and challenge that the presence of rules offer. Narrative is driven by conflict, and rules offer conflict to people adapted to thinking with the power of free will. The narrative conflict, too, helps to create that satisfaction when you overcome, to create that anticipation for the final objective, the final feeling of satisfaction. The creation of these rules can also point to engagements that are not focused on the feeling of fun. They can be used to evoke sorrow and anger, jealousy and revenge, failure and reprisal. With this established, even the role of fun regarding play becomes more vague, unbound from the burden of needing to be fun. Play therapy is a form of mental health counseling for young children and has been proven effective with scientific research. Play therapy allows children to communicate and process emotional trauma through the language of play. This play is often not fun or enjoyable for the child. Sorrow, fear, rage, and violence can be recreated by the child in this imaginary space, allowing children to understand what happened and progress toward emotional closure. If fun can even be separated as a concept from play, then play becomes the very act of natural, intuitive learning, able to engage with painful, negative motions as well. Fun is merely one of a set of subjective emotional experiences, whereas aspects like engagement, when you give it definitions like the retention of attention over time, can be quantifiable, it is not possible to measure that one subjective feeling is more valuable than an experience of another subjective feeling. Games can be extremely valuable precisely for their potential to allow people the space to experience fear, sadness, rage, and awe, while simultaneously encouraging full engagement despite such feelings being socially reproachable. Games are not always fun, and they are not meant to be either. Play is not always fun, and it is not meant to be either. You can have fun while in a game, but you cannot let fun deny the other reasons we play games by assuming fun to be the supreme value. Otherwise, you will just have an unsatisfactory experience. I hope that the changes to this video are able to demonstrate that this channel is a dialogue, it is a communication between all of us in the comments as well as what gets created in the videos themselves. If there is anything you would like to add to this dialogue, please by all means leave a comment as well. Thank you for watching, my friends. If you enjoyed the video, please hit all of the YouTube buttons down below, especially the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can see what comes next week. Thank you again, and as always, stay true.